Avina West, the two-time PIL Player of the Year. The interesting thing that you were pointing out to me before these games started, a number of the players for Oregon are undecided about their college careers. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, being a girls coach for 25 years, I don't know quite the insights. That might be something that we could ask a Tyler Toney or one of the boys coaches that Ryan gets on his show, why that happened. But 100% of those girls players were committed. And there's some pretty talented boys out there right now that are undecided. Maybe that's just the nature of the game. Maybe they wait a little bit longer to make their decisions. There's two players I'm really excited to see. It's Zach Reichel out of Wilsonville, heading down to Oregon State, and then on the Washington squad, Jaylen Null from Garfield High. I remember the old days when I used to go out to Mount Hood Community College, and they had a lot of boys players from Garfield, and so I was watching him dunk before the game, and so I'm really excited to see how he can play a little bit. It'll be fun today.
All right, the head coaches for Oregon is Larry Doty, and the assistant coach is Dominic Doty. The head coach for Washington is Kefri Fazio from West Seattle High, and his assistants are Pat Fitterer and Connie Richardson. So we're about ready. We'll introduce all the players for both teams. They'll introduce an Oregon player and a Washington player, and then they won't introduce, I don't believe, the starting lineups. They did it for the girls.
Yeah, they just go one at a time. It's kind of a neat deal. Again, these all-star games, really about just getting everybody out there, having a great time, and being competitive too.
Thanks for joining us here at Oregon Sports Beat. I'm Dave Hall, along with Kurt Goldsdorf, the head coach of the Oregon City Girls. The girls' game was very, very exciting. The MVP of the girls' game was Avina Westbrook, number 22 from South Salem. All right, Oregon dressed in white, Washington in black. We'll have 3 in this game, and we do have a shot clock, although I don't expect to see it very often. We had it one time
in the last one, and I probably would guess, I'll bet you, 0 times in this game unless it comes to the end of the game. So
boys don't like that shot clock right now.
And the ability to create space that the boys play with, I'm a big college basketball fan, both on the men's and women's side, and the ability to create space on the men's game is just a little bit different than the women's side.
He wears number 15. He's Joey Bedoya.
All right, our first introduction for Washington, number 15, Joey Bedoya.
Representing the state of Oregon, and 6'1" from Springfield High School.
All right, the first player introduced for Oregon, 6'1", Springfield High School, headed to Portland State to play football, Nicholas Assam.
And the most valuable player of the league for 2 straight years. He is a scholar athlete. He will be attending Portland State University in the fall to play football. He averages 19 points per game. Second on number 14, Nicholas Assam.
Nicholas Assam, 6'1", Springfield High School, and he's going to play football at Portland State.
It's one of the 2 football players here. There's a Washington player that's going to go to BYU to play some football.
And the 2016-17 South Puget Sound League Defensive Player of the Year. First team All South Puget Sound League and WIBC.
All right, the next player introduced for Washington is Cameron Cranston, 6'6" from Union High School. Hasn't decided where he's going to go to college yet. Wait a minute, let me back up and make sure that's right.
Representing Oregon, 5'9" from Clackamas High School. He was selected 2015.
All right, that was actually Sindhu Diallo.
First team all tournament. Les Schwab Invitational, first team all tournament.
All right, the second player for Oregon, you'll recognize his name. That's number 4. This is Elijah Gonzalez. Played at Clackamas High School, headed to Portland State. Gonzalez, all kinds of honors.
For a state tournament MVP and a 2-time GSHL Most Valuable Player. He's the All-Region Southwest Washington Player of the Year and first team All-State by the Seattle Times. He averages 19.9 points and 6.7 rebounds per game. He wears number 30. It's Cameron Cranston.
All right, the third player introduced for the Washington team, that's Cameron Cranston, 6'6" from Union High School.
6'2" inches. He's a Bronco from Park Rose High School.
He was the Washington 4A Player of the Year.
2016.
The next player for Oregon, 6'2" from Park Rose High School, 5A player Isaac Bonton.
3.8 points and 10.5 rebounds per game. He is the one and the only, number 23, Isaac Bonton.
He's a two-time first-team All-League Player of the Year, first-team All-State, two-time second-team All-State. Bonton with a number of games in the 40-point range.
He was the 2016 WIBCA 2A Player of the Year and the WIAA 2A Player of the Year.
Next player for Washington,
Tournament MVP. He is the Tacoma News Tribune First Team All-State and the Tacoma News Tribune All-Area Player of the Year. He will be attending Boise State University this fall.
6'5" from Foss High School. This is Roberto Gittins.
Number 24, Roberto Gittins.
You might recognize him. He was the 2016 Les Schwab Slam Dunk Champion. All right, the next player for Oregon, 6'10" from Churchill High School, and that is Spencer Hoffman. Not decided yet where to go to school. One of the many players on the Oregon roster that has not decided.
He's number 32.
First team All Midwestern League 2014, 15, 16, and 17. Spencer Hoffman, and a big player.
Shake Park High School. He was selected the 2016 Greater Spokane Most Valuable Player. First team Greater Spokane League and is the Greater Spokane League first team scoring and rebounding champion. He's the Shake Park Scholar Athlete of the Year.
All right, the next player for Washington, that is number 34, Tanner Groves from Shadow Park High School. That's in Spokane. He's going to go to Eastern Washington. Tanner Groves.
Representing Oregon, 6'9" from Clackamas High School. He's a first-team all-conference selection for 2 straight years.
6'9" from Oregon, from Clackamas High School, Matthew O'Brien. With Gonzalez running the offense at Clackamas, the big guy in the middle who did all the damage inside, and that was Matthew O'Brien. They were the Mount Hood Conference champions. He wears number 20. For Washington, headed to the University of Washington, first team Seattle All-Star player, 6'5" from Garfield High School, and that's Jalen Knoll.
2 inches from Jesuit High School. He was selected first team All-Metro and the Metro League Player of the Year.
Next player for Oregon, from Jesuit High School, 6'2", Cameron Parker. He averaged almost 26 points a game, and another one of the Oregon players undecided where he's headed to college.
Representing the state of Washington, 6'3" from Washington's Curtis High School. He's a first team All-South Puget Sound League selection.
Next player for the University of Washington.
2016 Santa Barbara Holiday Classic. He's been selected to the Washington 4A first team All-State Tournament team. He is the South Puget Sound League MVP. He averages 16.1 points and 6.9
All right,
rebounds.
and that player, 6'3" from Curtis High School, John Moore. He's one of the few Washington players who hasn't decided where he's going to play in college. You know, here it is, almost the middle of April, and we've got some undecided. So some of these kids have a lot of planning to do.
Yes, that's for sure. And I think, you know, this last window, there's that last signing period where some people are going to get after it. These boys will find a spot.
All right, number 52 for Oregon, 6 foot tall from West Lynn High School, Braden Olson. He's undecided. By the way, West Lynn, Peyton Pritchard last. All right, a whistle. Teams in Oregon, of course, don't play with a shot clock, so it's
hope for not much longer, but I don't know. Maybe if I can get it done in my lifetime, my coaching career, that'll be a good thing. I think the state needs to do it. I think the nation needs to do it, and I believe it's going to start with the federation. I think they need to put in you got 3 years to get it done kind of rule so that we can all play the same game in every state.
We asked the Oregon coaches during our season, virtually to a man, Thomas with a three. To a man, they said, give us the shot clock.
No doubt. I think it's 80-20, 90-10 in all the polls that I've seen.
It will require about 300 Oregon high schools to hit shot clocks.
Yeah, and you know what? Having been a coach for a long time and fundraising, it can be done, and it can be done in a way that is equitable for everybody.
Nice pass back.
That was Gittens on the dunk, and again, we are going up and down.
55-55. This game should be a tie. The way it's been played, it should be a tie. 55-55. 49 seconds. The pass almost stolen away. Underneath, wide open, right.
Breakdown defensively by Washington. I think they thought they were going to get a steal, and everybody leaked out.
Pryor with the bucket. When I said there was a lot of coast-to-coast action, that's what I meant right there. Players are driving the length of the court so they can get their own shot. 57-57. Under 20 seconds. Parker with the ball. Cameron Parker. Lockdown. It's down to 12. Dribbles behind his back. Oh, gets it off to Reichel. Reichel for three. Yes! Reichel with 5 career quick points. There's a shot at the buzzer.
Oregon 60, Washington 57. Stick around, folks. There's more coming in the second half.
All right, we made a correction there. That was Braden Olson with that last bucket. But here we are. We're at halftime. Our score, Oregon 60, Washington 57. We'll take a 30-second timeout. We'll come back and recap the scoring and talk about that first half.
Throughout the arena. Tonight would not happen without their help and support. Please thank our sponsors with your patronage when you can. Our signature sponsor this afternoon is Aaron Truax Foundation. The WH Press.
All right, we're back here at halftime at Liberty High School, the Northwest Shootout. Right now we're at halftime. Oregon 60, Washington 57. I'll recap the individual scoring for you quickly. For Oregon, Nicholas Assam, no points in the first half. Isaac Bonton, a total of 7. Elijah Gonzalez with 7. Spencer Hoffman with 7. Matthew O'Brien has a bucket for 2. Braden Olson, 2 3-pointers for 6 in the game. Cameron Parker, 5. Zach Reichel with 4. Khalid Thomas is the leading scorer for Oregon, and he has 17 in the game, including 3 3-pointers. Gino West with a couple of free throws for 2. For Washington, Joey Bedoya has 3 in the game. Cameron Cranston with 8. Sindhu Diallo with 5. Roberto Gittens has 2 buckets for 4 points in the game. Tanner Groves with 11. John Moore with 4. Jaden Noel with a total of 10. Nate Pryor with 8. Ryan Rico with 4. And Colin Welp has not scored. So Thomas, the leader for Oregon, with 17. Groves, the leader for Washington, with 11.
Well, certainly Khalid Thomas was a huge difference in this game. Coming in when Oregon was struggling a little bit, and that 17 in the first half was done in a variety of ways. You know, a couple dunks, a couple threes, pretty solid play by Thomas. And then for the Washington team, really impressed with Jalen Knoll, a young man going to Washington that can do it in a lot of different ways. And then Tanner Groves. Tanner Groves, another player on the Washington team with some really good footwork, kind of what I would call a throwback player. a guy that kind of does it with the fundamentals rather than the spectacular athleticism.
We're up on the second level, looking down on the game, and one of the scorekeeper just brought to us the official stats for the first half, and we've got the shooting percentages. Kurt, what does it show?
Well, Washington, 24 for 46, 52%. Only 3 for 14 from the three-point line, which is a little unusual. I shouldn't say unusual, not what I expected, because remember the beginning of the game, they were nailing them in transition. And then the Oregon squad, 22 for 47 overall, 47%, 9 for 20 from the three-point line. And again, quick analysis, the three-point line was the difference, led by Kelly Thomas, who's 3 for 3 from the three-point line.
In the beginning, I would have never have thought that Oregon would get that close to 50% from the field as badly as they were shooting to start this game when they fell behind 22-7.
Yeah, certainly a great last 15 minutes of that first half after a slow start by the Oregon squad.
How about the rebounding totals for both teams?
Well, right now it looks like Washington with 22, 4 of those offensive. Oregon with 24, 6 offensive, so fairly even there. Looking down the stat line, 6 turnovers for Oregon, 7 for Washington, 15 assists for Washington, 18 for Oregon. So very even. I think the three-point line is the difference, and it's a three-point game. So if you're Washington, you feel pretty good about that. If you're Oregon, you shot pretty well. You're only up 3, at least from the three-point line. But again, it's an all-star game. I don't think they're in there strategizing or making big-time adjustments. I think they're just trying to make sure that all the boys get plenty of opportunity to get out there, maybe take advantage of a mismatch or two that they can get, and other than that, roll the ball out and let's play.
The three-point shooting there's a huge difference there. I mean, Washington is 3 of 14. That's 9 points. 14 shots, 9 points. Oregon is 9 of 20, 27 points on 20 shots. They've been very effective. That's 45% from three-point line.
Yes, for sure. And I think, again, the Washington squad shooting 52% overall saves them a little bit there, trying to make up for that big differential in the three-point game.
All right, nobody in any foul trouble in this game. So both teams look pretty good for the second half. 60 to 57, our score.
Yeah, Zach Reichel, a player that I was really excited to watch today, and he's a heck of a player. 0 for 2 from the field, and just 2 points for the Oregon squad. And then again, I mentioned Jalen Knoll earlier, the University of Washington commit. Really a lot of fun to watch him play. He's got 10 points in 13 minutes of play.
In the paint, points in the paint, Washington 38, Oregon 26. So the Oregon getting beat in the paint, but getting 6 more three-point shots made, so kind of evened up. One team inside, one team outside.
Yeah, and I think you look at Tanner Groves and Colin Welp, both for Washington squad, kind of inside guys, kind of throwback kind of guys. And then you got 6'9" from West Lynn, who a 6'9" guy that played on the perimeter most of that first half for the Oregon squad.
Oregon 7 of 7 from the free throw line. Washington 6 of 9. So every little point here and there makes a difference. And currently Oregon leading by 3.
Yeah, a little stat that just kind of jumped out to me here looking through. Cameron Parker, Jesuit High School, 6 assists and 0 turnovers. That is a very, very productive point guard stat line.
The leading assist for Washington, Nate Pryor, has 5, but I hadn't realized that Parker had 6 assists in the first half, and great. When he was in there, he seemed to be very calm.
Yeah, looks like a ball player that knows how to play with different styles of play, and I think that's probably the kind of guy that thrives in this game. Has played with big guys probably at Jesuit, played with some smaller guys. I know a lot of these guys play the club circuit. He's a very adaptable player, and I would guess that in an all-star game like this, the adaptable guys can really fit in and thrive.
Interesting fact about Cameron Parker, he has a brother who plays for Central Catholic, and they happen to play each other at the beginning of the year. It was pretty interesting to watch.
I bet.
So,
different type of holy war there. Usually they just build the game as the holy war.
Yes.
You've got brothers.
All right, we're just a couple of minutes away from the start of the second half. What are the keys to the second half, Kurt?
Again, with an all-star game, I think Washington clearly to me is a team that's got a little bit more physical style. So they're going to want to continue to put it inside first and, again, play off the three-point shot from inside out. Oregon, they're playing outside in right now, and it's working.
All right, I want to let our producer, Ryan Johnson, know that we'll hold off doing our schedule of upcoming events here. We'll hold off till the end of the game, and we'll do that just before we leave the air. So we'll stick here. This is pretty exciting action, and these teams are going to be over 100 points. Like Kurt said, maybe by the middle of the second half.
That's for sure. And again, I think this is a lot of fun, and the event itself, the charities that get involved, the kids get to get at the Mac Club downtown and have a dinner and a special time. And so I hope this is something that continues for a long time, because it's been a great run. It's the 23rd annual, and an opportunity for the best boys in Oregon and Washington, the best girls in Oregon and Washington to go head-to-head to play their last high school game and then move on to the next level.
I mentioned before we started, the girls' record in this tournament action was 6-14. They won tonight to make it 7-14. Boys action, the Oregon team actually leads 12-8 in Northwest Shootout action. So see if the Oregon players can hold on for another win tonight. We get a sweep.
Yes, it'd definitely be curious to see some of the old rosters. That would be fun maybe to do one of these times when we get out here. Is some of the old rosters, maybe the Kevin Loves or Kyle Singlers, when they came through. Some of the guys that you watch on TV now on the NBA games and so forth. But Oregon's put out its share of talent. The population obviously keeps it to where you're not putting out 20, 25 guys like a California, Texas, or Florida. But
right,
some of the players that come out of Oregon are darn good. And I know that they were talking on the radio the other day about the best player at each college, and they mentioned Terrell Brandon in the mix for the best all-time in Oregon history, and being a Grant kid and so forth. And then on the women's side, we see some of the players that played here that they're at Tennessee now, or they're going to be at Tennessee.
Exactly.
So this is a neat event and really a neat little history to talk about.
The scoring record for the boys in this tournament in those games is held by Peyton Pritchard last year with 45 points in this game. And, of course, he made his way to starting point guard for the Oregon Ducks.
It's a lot of fun to watch him play on those games, and kind of not knowing him well, but coaching against his sister and having met him a couple times, it's always neat to see a local guy do good. And whether you were a Wesleyan fan or you were playing against them, once they get off to college, I think I always become an Oregon fan. Just the state of Oregon, cheering for the guys that move on. Zach Reichel going to Oregon State, and Wayne Tinkle down there does a heck of a job. Hopefully he has a great career down there.
What's the key to Tennessee getting so many Oregon girls to go there? Is there some input or some local person who's steering kids to Tennessee? Because obviously right now they got Mercedes Russell, Jamie Nard, and Jordan Reynolds playing there. And of course we mentioned in the first game, Avita Westbrook headed there. What's the input?
I think the biggest thing is Holly Warlock has recruited the heck out of the Northwest. And sometimes it becomes a domino effect. One kid goes and the next kid goes. And then on the women's side, remember, those old tradition schools, nice block there by Groves, old tradition schools are going to get those kids because they're going to put 15,000 people in the seats, and kids want to go play there.
All right, Washington comes down after the miss and gets a bucket. That bucket was by Pryor. 60-59 our score. We're just underway in second half action.
And one thing I will say, though, the Oregon and Oregon State women's programs are really, really solid now. So I think in the future that those kids will stay home maybe a little bit more with Kelly Graves at Oregon and Scott Ruick at Oregon State. Really like to see those kids stay home and play there.
All right, the first free throw by Parker is good. Parker starting here in the second half. I was impressed with Oregon State, of course, and they made great runs, but Oregon really surprised me this year.
Kelly Graves, assistant Mark Campbell, done a heck of a job there. They're recruiting the daylights out of the...
How did they get Mark McGuire's niece to come there?
That's a good one. The summertime, working, and I think really recruiting is all about hard work and getting in front of those kids and communicating with them and letting them know that they want them.
Parker misses a three. Ball loose, picked up underneath, sends it back out. West with a three-point attempt. Air ball doesn't go. 62-59, Oregon by 3, down the lane, the shot.
Going coast to coast.
That's Jordan Knoll with a bucket.
Good idea, bad execution there. Great pass. Thomas just couldn't hang on there.
Thomas and Parker starting the second half here for Oregon. There's a shot for three, doesn't go, bounces up high, hits the top.
I thought that might have been out of bounds there, but again, making friends, we're not going to say anything.
I thought it was an out of bounds play too. Gonzalez misses the three. I don't have to worry like
you don't
do.
have to worry.
I can say
I
it hit
could
the
get
top.
these guys next year, and I'll say, hey, you know, I said a lot of nice things about you.
There we go.
I'll send him the link.
1 point lead for Oregon, 62-61. We're a minute and 30 seconds into the second half. Washington with the ball.
Little
down
post up
low.
by Cranston there.
The shot rolls around and finally drops through. Tanner Groves with the bucket. He has 13 in the game now.
Groves is an
shot
impressive player. I like that kid. He's going to be a real addition for the Eastern Washington squad. He makes plays.
And that's an offensive foul, using the arm to push the defender away. And the player, he's standing there still looking at the ref. That is Nate Pryor, and he's still talking to the ref. I think he just got a warning.
I just got to remind Nate that we're at an all-star game. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let it go.
63-62. There's a shot by Gonzalez for three. Drained it. High arcing shot.
Pretty sure you can't go underneath the screen against Elijah Gonzalez.
Right.
You got to go over. Pryor comes back right at him.
Pryor, who was irritated, decides to come down and take a shot, and he does.
Call that shooting angry. Nice pass by Gonzalez.
Gonzalez on the assist to Gino West. The lead is 4, 67-63.
It's like those sherbet-colored shoes are helping him, huh?
Ah, I like it. Jaden Knoll with the bucket.
That was Gittins on a steal and a bucket, so we're back tied.
Gittins steals the inbound pass and lays it in. That was easy. 67-67.
It's a little delay of game warning. I think the Washington squad tipped the ball away there.
Ah,
It's the old trick.
Oregon lead, 116-115. Second shot, Bonton misses that one. Rubs his eye again. He must have got poked in the eye.
I used to do that when I missed too. I missed and I'd grab my eye or my elbow, one of those two things. So
I look at the ball. I look at the ball.
The other one is ask the referee to get a towel. The ball's a little wet. Too slippery.
Right. Oregon inbounds. That's West to Bonton. Bonton's played extremely well there in the second half. Bonton gets a screen, loses the ball. West picks it up.
And a fortunate break there to kick it back to West.
West looks down the lane, goes inside, loses the ball. There's a whistle. West is going to go to the free throw line.
Fouls number 5, Jalen Noel. Since Gino West is going to shoot 2.
West with 6 in the game, 7.
Ryan Rico back in for Washington.
And the lead is 2, 117-115. Ryan Rico checks back in.
I'm feeling this is probably going to come down to the last possession here, depending on who has it.
West gets both of them. 8 points in the game for West.
2 minutes to go. You're looking at probably 7 or 8 possessions left. Wow. Pryor. Ooh, baby, that was a tough shot.
Pull-up jumper right at the top of the foul line and drilled it.
A hand in the face, too.
Thomas way outside. No, that's not going to go.
Yeah.
That would have been his longest range shot.
Here comes Pryor again.
Pryor trying to take over the game for Washington. Goes down the lane and is fouled. Washington trails by 1, 118-117, 123 left, and Nate Pryor to the line. You have to say he has played outstanding.
That's for sure. You know, Seattle U commit, and we've just seen him for the first time tonight. He has made some special plays out there. He's assisted. He's taken care of the ball. When he's need to score, he's scored. Although he has missed 2 key free throws here.
Exactly.
Down the stretch.
You can miss free throws, but missing key free throws, that's a danger. Could have given Washington the lead. Now the best he can do is tie it up.
Such a big part of the game, and it just adds up. It's one of those things that's valuable. Free throw line is, oh my.
And Pryor missed them both.
And that is huge because,
and there's a whistle and a foul. I almost thought Bonton had traveled.
Yeah, I think that was either a travel or a foul. It looks like the decision to call the foul there.
117 sends Bonton to the line. A 1-point Oregon lead, 118-117.
This has turned into that free throw shooting contest we talked about.
Bonton, exceptional free throw shooter, hits that one. The lead is 2. Hits that one. The lead is 3. Bonton had 7 at halftime.
Little high screen by Gittens there. Pryor going one-on-one. Kicks it to Cranston.
Cranston, no, doesn't go. Rebound inside, the shot, that doesn't go, the putback. Gittens with a putback.
Timeout, Washington.
The lead is 1, timeout Washington, 120-119, 55 seconds left to go in this game.
And there was also another little tip there that wasn't called on that. So lucky for Washington, they get the timeout. They're going to talk defense probably right now. I would imagine they're talking about making sure Thomas doesn't get a clean look. They don't need to foul. It's only 1 possession. There's going to be at minimum 2 possessions here. Could go either way.
You know, I'm starting to think you'd like to be down there.
Hey, this is fun. This is the fun stuff. Strategizing at the end of the game is really fun, and especially when in the summertime when we get to play with a shot clock and we have our possession charts out, and with 2 minutes to go, it's about 6 possessions. A minute and a half, it's about 5 or 4 depending, and it really is fun. Right now, technically there's 2, but does Oregon go for a quick shot so that they get the ball back one more time?
Right.
Now they could hold to the end of the clock, but then Washington gets to hold to the end of the game.
Right.
So
you don't want to do that, do you?
Yeah, if I'm Oregon, see if I can get Parker and Thomas involved in some sort of 2-man game. You've got Gonzalez out there, you've got Bonton out there that can shoot the corner 3. Lots of options here with all these great players.
During the year, Jefferson came close on only 1 or 2 games, but in those games, Geno West won the games with shots at the end.
And it looks like Gonzalez and Thomas are waiting. They're going to play the slowdown here, which means Washington's going to get a last shot to either win it or go a long bus ride home.
Gonzalez out on the dribble. Down the lane. Parker, turn around. Doesn't go. Washington comes down with it 25 seconds ahead. Stolen away by Bonton. And we got a whistle and a foul. They fouled Bonton.
Yeah, interesting there. Washington had the turnover
and got it away.
Yeah, that turnover play, that never works.
The lead is 1. Bonton needs 2 shots to get the lead to 3. Yeah, Isaac at the line, bends, shoots, yes.
And I'm not sure how many timeouts they get in this all-star format, but I think Washington either thinks timeout now to freeze them, or if they just have 1 left, not sure what they're going to do. It looks like they're electing to let him shoot. If I had 2 timeouts, I'm taking it to make him think at least for a timeout and then talk about make or miss.
Bonton on the way, goes, the lead is 3. Oregon leads by 3, 122-119, 16 seconds. And now Washington wants to take that timeout.
Yeah, and again, not knowing how many timeouts the All-Star game allows, I would have probably taken 1 there, maybe, okay. And then, again, you saw what Roy Williams did against Kentucky when he let them play off a free throw and got them an opportunity, or got them off the shot by Monk there. Sometimes it's easier when the defense isn't set. Yes, Washington's going to get a play here, but Oregon gets to talk about it too.
Ryan will take a 30-second timeout at the end of the game. We'll come back to recap the scoring, and then we'll put up our graphics for the schedule. So do you, if you're Washington, do you come down, get a bucket right away, and then foul and hope to get another situation, or do you go for a three-point shot to tie it
Well,
up?
here's their dilemma. They at the 20-second mark, I think you should have taken the timeout right away. 20 seconds now, you could go hard for a 2, or you could go 3. Now with 14, you could do it, and you could play the foul game, but I think you've got a heck of a lot of good shooters on that Oregon squad right now. They're bringing Reichel in to shoot a free throw. They've got the best free throw shooters out there. So now my guess is they're going for 3, but that's just a guess.
Parker not in the game. Washington gets the ball in, way in backcourt.
And now they got to go for 3. They're going to take too much time otherwise.
Pryor with the ball.
Picker.
To Noel. Noel pull up 3.
And he got hammered.
And he got fouled. He got fouled by Bonton.
Yeah, easy call there.
Bonton runs over to the coach right away. I think what he was saying was, I didn't foul him, but...
Fouls on number 25, Khalid Thomas.
Well, the actual call is Khalid Thomas on the foul. And that's going to send Noel to the line. 3 seconds up on the clock. Noel's got to hit all 3 of these. Benz, first shot on the way. Yes.
Hope I put enough money in the meter here. We could be doing a little overtime.
Noel.
Liberty High School patrol there. We'll see what happens.
Bonton, second shot. Noel, second shot. That goes.
Well, here's the money shot, as they say.
And
good timeout by Oregon right here.
Oregon takes the timeout.
Good timeout.
Noel stands at the line, looks for a minute, and then walks away. 122, 121, 3 seconds, 3.3 seconds left to go. Jaden Noel at the line.
Yeah, I think Oregon right now is doing 2 things. They're trying to freeze a shooter, and then number 2, they're drawing up a play when it goes in, which to me is going to be something with Cameron Parker in the ball and Khalid Thomas at the other end of it, trying to get up something quick.
If you had a timeout left, would you take another timeout?
You know what? Possibly. 3 seconds. You know, if you had 1 more second, you might be able to get the ball to half court, take another timeout. If you had it, you don't want to take it to the parking lot with you. Sure, why not? They don't give you extra points for taking timeouts home.
Right.
You know, I'm one of those guys. I save them all almost. I want to play fast and then have all my timeouts for the last 5 minutes to win the game.
All right, Jaden Noel goes to the line. He's headed to the University of Washington next year. He's got to make this free throw.
And Washington's going to be maybe possibly running a free throw play here with Gittins and Reichel down there to try to tip something in, because a tip in works.
There it is, the shot, and it rolls around and goes
Good.
through.
Oh my gosh. So we're 3 seconds. They're going to get the ball to Parker.
Parker's going to have to get a shot off, pulls up, dishes off. They're not going to get a shot away. The play was to go to West in the corner.
And interesting, I don't think the clock started on time. Referee makes the decision that the time ran out, and we're going overtime.
Overtime, folks.
You're right, the clock didn't start.
Stick around, we're going OT.
And the referee just said, that's all the time.
Oh,
And
baby.
We're going to a 4-minute overtime.
We are.
122, overtime.
Does that mean a jump in the pay from Ryan? Is that what's going on? We're going overtime? Oh, my.
It means you can't get in any more trouble.
Oh. Yeah, interesting there with no clock starting. This is getting pretty entertaining here. You've had a little bit of controversy, a little bit of smack talking. Delay a game technical, you don't see that very often. And some spectacular plays by both squads.
We've seen a couple of technical fouls here in the
Yes.
last portion.
Yes, we have.
One for kicking the ball out of bounds, one for celebrating after a slam dunk. So out on the court for Oregon, here comes Thomas, Parker, Bonton, Reichel, and Assam. No, I'm sorry, Gino West. That's 24. Thomas will jump it up. And he'll jump it up with against number 24. That is Roberto Gittins. Gittins was the one who drew a technical foul for the slam dunk.
Yes. It's interesting that you notice the rotations have really tightened up. The getting everybody in thing has kind of been pushed to the side a little bit.